What is going on, everybody? Paul here, coming at you with a Crypto Coffee update. This is a segment where we go over all of the news, conferences, events, happenings, etc. in the crypto space. But first, join me for a simultaneous sip where we just take a sip of tea, coffee, or water, whatever you prefer, just to start the day out right with a calm moment of peace together. So, join me now. It's good to slow down, take a moment every so often, but now that we have taken our moment, let's jump into the first segment of the day, the news. So we mentioned there was a Bitcoin bug recently that was luckily patched. There was no fallout whatsoever in terms of the technicalities. However, there has been some social fallout. You can see the title here, Handling of Recent Bitcoin Bug Ruffles Some Feathers. Let's go ahead and see what kind of birds got tore up over this report. You can see here Bitcoin Core developers urged all nodes to implement the patch on Friday, September 21st. The bug was originally reported to the Bitcoin Core team by Bitcoin Cash developer Almany on September 17th. So this was a great show of good faith between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core and displays what's known as responsible bug disclosure. Remember, just a few months ago there was an issue with Bitcoin Cash, a similar kind of bug, different implications however, and a Bitcoin Core individual did the same thing, had responsible bug reporting, let the Bitcoin Cash team know, and voila, no major issues. For a bit of background, the bug is eloquently known as CVE 2018-17144, so we'll just call it from here out the bug, originated from Bitcoin Core 0.15 and affected nodes all the way up to 0.16.2. This essentially could have allowed for, as we discussed in the last Crypto Coffee update, not only poison blocks, but apparently double spend attacks as well. Turns out this bug has been laying dormant for around 2 years, raising concerns about what other issues could potentially be lurking in the codebase of Bitcoin Core. After all, a lot of these things aren't issues until, well, they're discovered, and frankly, any program is potentially vulnerable to these kinds of issues. Luckily, as said, Bitcoin Cash contributor Almany wrote a Medium article explaining that it would have been just as easy for him to short BTC and exploit the bug. However, as said, responsible bug disclosure won the day, which is something that is fantastic and beneficial for everybody in the crypto space. Strangely enough, the Bitcoin Core team has been heavily criticized for how they rolled out the announcement about this bug, essentially just letting everybody know without consulting any of the altcoins that were based very heavily in Bitcoin's code. Some are seeing this as political and potentially mean-spirited by some Bitcoin maximalists, but after all, discerning the internal motives of another individual is a bit hard to do, so malicious or not, it definitely left a couple altcoin developers in a bit of a precarious situation, rushing to fix a similar issue. Furthermore, there are always going to be detractors on either side. You can give some people the world, the moon, and the stars, and they'll still find a reason to complain, saying that, hey, you missed the rings of Saturn as well. Here's a Bitcoin Core developer, Luke Dash Jr. Allegedly, he's not in what's called the, quote, inner circle from some of the comments. Not sure exactly what that means, but nonetheless, it seems that Luke wasn't fully in the loop, considering he did mention that Bitcoin Cash does not cooperate in responsible disclosure. Security researchers will stop CCing them on confidential security reports. So reasonably, this is a completely baseless assertion on the part of Luke and a major foot-in-mouth moment considering Bitcoin Core was nearly completely saved in this instance by Bitcoin Cash, or said in a more accurate way, saved by responsible bug disclosure protocol. So it's not a matter of what side you may see yourself on, but rather just a sign of good faith, good practice, and class. Almany took this a bit personally, saying that I suspect Luke Jr. has been left in the dark and that he's done everything necessary to make this disclosure as responsible as possible, and Bitcoin Core was the group that actually was a bit irresponsible and, again, leaving some of these altcoins in the dark before the announcement, essentially causing a lot of extra work for these teams. Luke went on to retract the statement, but in a classless kind of way, not because it's necessarily wrong, but because it was confusing and there's been bad handling of the vulnerability by multiple parties. So reasonably, this could have been handled with a lot more tact and a lot more professionalism on the part of Luke. Cheers to Almany for finding this bug, and cheers to all the individuals who follow responsible bug disclosure. After all, weaponizing cryptocurrency and attacking one another in this space does not give a good look in the public eye, nor does it allow us to build the space to be the best it can possibly be. I mentioned before, if you don't think there's room for multiple projects in what's shaping up to be a multi-trillion-dollar market, well, perhaps you should take another examination of what that size and scope actually means. There's room for all kinds of different innovation. Speaking of innovation, there's some competition going on for the number 2 cryptocurrency spot, as Ripple and Ethereum are currently duking it out to see who gets to stand on the podium. Ripple recently got to taste the sweet number 2 spot for a brief moment in time before sinking back after a slight retracement on its meteoric run of up to 70% gains. This is coming on the back of good news for Ripple, such as YouTubers being able to accept the crypto, and some more information coming out about XRapid, the interbank payment settlement system that Ripple has built. Point of the matter being, these two cryptos were contending very hard on Friday, with Ripple having a market cap of around 26 billion and Ethereum having a market cap of just 23 billion. Ethereum has since reclaimed its number 2 position since the time of this article. However, should Ripple see another meteoric run, this could cement Ripple's number 2 spot for at least the foreseeable future. Here's a picture that a savvy user was able to capture at the time of a minor flippening that we saw. So as said, will this be a permanent feature? Will Ripple reclaim its number 2 spot as has been seen historically? Or will Ethereum flip again and maintain its hegemony as the predominant smart contract platform in the world? Let me know what you think of this below in the comments. Want to get your 2 cents. Shifting gears back to something I mentioned just a few minutes ago, making not only this space the best it could possibly be, but using the technology that's been developed and that's still being developed to make the world a better place for everybody is the imperative that should be at the forefront of every type of development. And, great news, it seems to be the case. UNICEF France is now accepting multiple crypto coin donations, which is great news for any individual who wants to ensure that their contribution is making it to the forefront, the front lines of where these donations are needed most, and not lining the pockets of some shady or grimy politician or CEO at the top. As can be seen, 2 of the most popular coins donated are Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, and the United Nations Children's Fund is related, of course, to the UN, headquartered in New York, where humanitarian and developmental assistance to children and mothers in developing countries are given regularly. UNICEF has ties to about 190 countries around the world, making it one of the most far-reaching charities in existence. The new project, called the Hope Page, allows users to also mine Monero using their processing power and donate the proceeds to the charity. And the Hope Page is not the first of its kind. Back in February, a similar project was launched using a Ethereum miner to help children in Syria. So this is becoming a more and more popular way for individuals in the first world and wealthy regions in general to come out, use what resources they have to help individuals who need it the most. Quote from the director of UNICEF France, "Cryptocurrency and blockchain technology used for charitable purposes offers a new opportunity to appeal to the generosity of the public and continue to develop our operations with children in the countries of intervention." End quote. And this is not just a feature of existing institutions. Binance is starting their own charity as well, which is great news, and they're working alongside the UN. The report says that charities are, of course, facing a hard time right now. As I mentioned, nobody wants their donations going to line anybody else's pocket. They want their money to end up on the front lines to help the people who need it the most. And, frankly, a distributed, decentralized ledger like blockchain, that is exactly what will allow individuals to discern whether or not their money ended up in the account of a hungry family in Africa, or whether it ended up on the yacht of somebody in New York City. The article calls blockchain a hyperliquid medium as Binance seeks to become a vanguard and push these technological developments forward for grassroots economies. Perhaps one of my favorite quotes from all the articles I've seen today so far. So it's not just that cryptocurrency and charity go hand in hand, but rather that cryptocurrency can represent one of today's modern accelerators for economic inclusion to the global markets. After all, a free handout is one thing, but empowering an individual with economic and market access so that they can build their own future with their own 2 hands is something that's infinitely more valuable. I think it goes back to the old quote, "Give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you fed him for a lifetime." With that said, that's all the news we have for the day. Let's go ahead and jump into the happenings for Monday, September 24th. There's a conference called Paythink happening in Austin, Texas. The Crypto Blockcon is kicking off in London. And Finovate Fall 2018 is happening in New York. For Tuesday, September 25th, we have the Connected World Summit in London. The AI.Tech World Summit happening in London as well. Those 2 conferences are related. The Blockchain Game Summit happening in Lyon, France. Technology and Innovation Risk occurring in London, and the Block Crypto 2018 conference is happening in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That's all we have for Tuesday, September 25th, and for this Crypto Coffee update, We do have even more information, but that's in the B list below in the description. Just too much stuff to talk about with respect to time. We're already going on 10 minutes here. So let me know what you thought of this below in the comments. Your feedback is very much appreciated. After all, I can't improve unless I have some metric to go on. So let me know what you want to hear, what you want to see, and if there's anything you find particularly interesting in this Crypto Coffee update or beyond. Thanks so much for watching. You guys are the true MVPs here. My name is Paul. We are Cryptide, and remember, the tide is rising. It looks like a tidal wave of charitable donations. Yeah.